The following presentation is on the 2014 HUD data standards on Bowman Service Point, which is the homeless management information system used by the Capital Area Coalition on Homelessness for Harrisburg and Dauphin County, Pennsylvania, or Continuum of Care PA 501. For the purposes of this presentation, we've created a fictitious client named Example for You. This client is a female single parent with a daughter named Example Daughter for You. In creating this client, one of the changes of the HUD data standards is that they have placed the U.S. military veteran question in the universal data standards, which is part of the initial questions when you create the client profile. So when we click on the client profile tab, you'll see the U.S. military veteran question there, in which case we had answered no. If ever you need to edit it, you can always go to client profile tab and click on the pencil edit client record icon. So going back to the Summary tab, let us now go to Entry Exits to add an entry assessment for this client. We'll check Female Single Parent to make sure the whole household is included, and HUD for the type of data entry. Save and continue. This pulls up the HUD Continuum of Care and ESG entry assessment. This assessment contains all the new 2014 HUD data standards. We'll begin by entering some data. The date of birth, 10/1/1991. Date of birth type is a new HUD data standard which asks about the quality of the date of birth, in which case it is the full date of birth reported. Primary race, Asian. Secondary race is a new data standard. Previously, HUD had given an option of biracial or more than one race, and in this case there is a primary race and a secondary race where you can be more specific and check. We'll say Native Hawaiian. Ethnicity, non-Hispanic. The gender question has a few more pick list options for the transgender community. There's transgender male to female, transgender female to male. For this example, let us use transgender male to female. Does the client have a disabling condition? Yes. The residence prior to project entry, we will say place not meant for human habitation, such as the streets or a camp. The length of stay in previous place, we'll make that 1 year or longer. HUD emphasizes the relationship to head of household. That is one of the emphasis in the new data standards. In this case, it is self or head of household. The client location is also a new question, and that refers to the Continuum of Care's code, which for Dauphin County and Harrisburg is PA 501. Was this client continuously homeless for at least 1 year? This is a chronic homeless determination question, and we will say yes. The number of times the client has been homeless in the past 3 years is also a chronic homeless determination question, and we will say 4 or more. If 4 or more, the total number of months homeless in the past 3 years. That is also a chronic homeless determination question, more than 12 months. The next question asks the total number of months continuously homeless immediately prior to project entry, i.e. immediately prior to entering your project, the latest stint of homelessness and how many continuous months that person has been homeless. 12 months. Is that length of time of homelessness, is that status documented? Yes. Total monthly income? 503. And income from any source? Yes. The next 4 are sub-assessments which HUD requires special verifications. They are monthly income, non-cash benefits, health insurance, and disabilities. Let's start with monthly income. Let's add a monthly income. We said the monthly income was 503, and let's select the source as SSDI. Is that client receiving the monthly income source? Yes. The start date can be the date of entry into your program, unless you know when the person started receiving their source of income. So now we see the monthly amount and the source of income. Now we see the sign that says HUD verification, and we see next to it a warning exclamation icon, which just simply says that there's still more to be done for this verification. And in order to do so, we need to click on that icon. And by so doing, it brings up a list of all the sources of income for which HUD requires an answer either yes, no, or data not collected. In this case, we shall just answer no for all the other sources of income. Since we already added SSDI, that source of income, and the answer yes has already been checked. Save and exit. And now we see that the red exclamation icon has turned into a green check. And everything for monthly income has passed HUD verification. Non-cash benefit. Is this client receiving a non-cash benefit from any source? Yes. So let's add the source. The amount of non-cash benefit, $350. The source will be Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. Is the client receiving that benefit? Yes. The start date will be the date of entry into our program. Save. Now we need to, it adds a source there and lists it, but we now need to go to that icon, the red exclamation icon, click on it, and it will list all the sources of non-cash benefit for which we need to answer either yes, no, or data not collected. So the SNAP benefit has already been checked as yes, and we'll just click on no for all the other sources. Save and exit. And now the icon has turned into a green check mark. Is the client covered by any health insurance? Yes. Let's add the health insurance. Medicaid. Is the client covered? Yes. The next two questions are for HOPWA, and that isn't a program that most of our Continuum users are part of, so we do not have to answer those questions. We'll hit save. And it lists the insurance and whether it's covered, and then we go to that red exclamation icon again and click on that. That will list all the other insurance types for which we need to answer yes, no, or data not collected. Medicaid's already answered as yes, and we'll click on no for the other sources of health insurance. Save and exit. And then the icon turns into the green check mark. Disability, we said the client had a disability, so let's add it. The type of disability we will say is mental health. Is the disability determined? Is there a determination by a doctor? Yes. And if yes, is that disability expected to be of long continued and indefinite duration and substantially impairs the ability to live independently? Yes. If yes, is there documentation of the disability and severity on file? Yes. The next two questions are for path-only programs. If yes, currently is the client currently receiving services or treatment? Yes. Is the above condition going to be long-term? Yes. We'll save. And then we again, like the others, have to go to that red icon, the exclamation icon. It will list all the other different disability types of which we can answer either yes, no, client doesn't know, client refused, or data not collected. And we'll just click no for every other disability type. Once again, the mental health has already been checked as yes and is already populated. Hit exit, and the red icon, exclamation icon, has turned into a green check mark. Is the client a domestic violence survivor? No. And that is all the questions for the entry assessment. So we'll check save and exit. we do not have to worry about the outreach question, for that is for outreach-only programs. Save and exit. Additionally, to entry assessments and exit assessments, HUD requires that programs do interim assessments. And to access that, we need to go to the Entry-Exit tab. We'll click on that tab, and we see our entry assessment listed in the log. And there you'll find a column that says Interims. Click on that column, add interim review, check female single parent for the whole household. The interim review type. We can do either an annual assessment or any updates. Perhaps the client received a new income source. Or there's also a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, and 100-day review, 120-day review. We'll do annual assessment. Save and continue. This brings up the HUD COC and ESG update assessment. This assessment is similar to the entry assessment. It wants to know whether the client's still at the continuum of care location, PA 501. She is. The total monthly of income, the income from any source, yes. Let's say she changed incomes and added a new source. Let's make the amount $1,000. The source of income, self-employment. Is she receiving that income source? Yes. You enter the start date of whenever she received that income source, and we'll hit save. Now, I also want to delete the SSDI source now that she's receiving income from employment. That happens to be the last last on the list. I'll hit last, and there it is. And I'll hit the delete icon. In so doing, you'll notice that the HUD verification changed from the green check mark back to the red exclamation point. So we'll click on that again. And that is because when I deleted the SSDI option, I now need to answer either yes, no, or data not collected for that option. In this case, it will be no. Save and exit. And now it's back to being checked, the green check mark as HUD verification. Don't forget also to change the monthly income in the above entry line here. So you can therefore go to any of the non-cash benefits, the health insurance or disabilities to make any changes by either adding a new non-cash benefit or health insurance or disability, or deleting an existing one that you want to change. Now we hit save and exit, and that is how we do an interim entry, and you'll see that there is one interim entry recorded. To do an exit entry, we just go to this edit exit pencil icon next to the exit date, click on that, check on the female single parent for the whole head of household, reason for leaving, she completed the program, the destination, she received rental by herself with no housing subsidy, and that pulls up the exit assessment, which looks just like the other assessments. And there you can make the similar changes as mentioned before. If there's changes to your monthly income or non-cash benefit or health insurance or disability. And then you just hit save and exit, and then you've successfully exited her. So this summarizes all the HUD data changes for 2014 that is in Bowman Service Point. And this concludes this presentation. Thank you for listening.